Go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Jesse here, and joined today by a good friend of mine, Jimmy Coleman. Jimmy is somebody that I've been in a business mastermind with. It's someone who I've seen, him grow his business and just achieve more and more amazing things. His current venture and what we're going to be talking about here today is called Lead Baller, and it's basically a turnkey system to get lots and lots of qualified leads on LinkedIn every day. We've been using this for a little while now, and he's refined his approach such that one, you're going to learn on this presentation exactly how to get an essentially endless amount of qualified leads from LinkedIn. But just to start with the end in mind, there's also a way that you could engage Jimmy and his team to do basically the same for you. So with that, I want to welcome Jimmy in, and we're going to show you guys how to get an endless stream of qualified leads from LinkedIn. How's that for an introduction, Jimmy?
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. And I'm super pumped to do it with your audience too, because for anyone that's listening, like Jesse talks about his clients as if it's like his kids and stuff. So I know that it's a big honor for me to be talking to you guys, because he wouldn't just do this with anybody. And I would even say it took me a long time to get this opportunity as well. And it is really cool that we have been working with Jesse now for a little bit and have gotten some really cool results for him. And but something I just want to preface for you guys today, though, because there's so many webinars and things like that out there. I used to sell this information that I'm going to be giving to you guys today, but I don't anymore. So this isn't a situation where you guys are going to get 3/4 of the information you need to really make a difference. And then in order to get the other fourth, you need to like pay me or something. It's not the case at all. The whole point of this is make sure you guys get plenty of value. And then of course, like Jesse said, if you guys want to utilize my team, you can to execute it, you can, but you guys can also run with it and do it on your own as well. So I'm just going to go into the 4 steps, guys, that seem to work for everybody. Real quick before I get into that, this is me. I actually just got married last week. So yeah. So funny story too. Today, my the power at my office actually like shut down, so I had to like turn our bedroom into a home office. I thought I would never need one, but here I am. Yeah, so that's my wife, Morgan. Been together since high school. I'm the founder of Grow and Give, which is a parent company. We have some equity in some companies where we do marketing for them and stuff. But the main thing that a lot of people know me for these days is Lead Baller. And these are just some companies that I just got to keep moving this around. These are some companies that we currently work with and that we have worked with. Some people probably know The Real Brad Lee. A lot of people definitely know TikTok. Cool thing with TikTok, actually, they hired my team. They said, hey, Jimmy, we need 150 leads in 5 weeks. And then after 3 weeks, we had over 1,100, and they're like, Jimmy, please turn it off. Like, we can't take any more. So that was really cool. And then there's, this is a medical company, Billy Jean. Some of you guys might know him. Vector, that was my first hustle. Got them as a client. Rootstrap builds apps for companies like Snoop Dogg and Tony Robbins. So some really cool clients that I have a lot of fun with. Now, we're just going to like dive in. Like, so we're a few minutes in and we're going to get straight to content right now. So there's 4 phases. Phase number 1 is profile optimization. So I would make sure that you have like notes close by, or maybe another tab open or something like that, so you can like start implementing as we do this. It'd be really cool to see that some people got results like by the end of this little video. But
Jimmy, profile at some point here too, like I'm going to just prep my LinkedIn, and at some point we can sort of switch the screen back and forth, and I'm cool with everybody seeing some of what you guys are doing with this too. It's kind of nuts. But please go ahead and give.
You're going to have to do that, actually. You're going to have to like say, hey, Jimmy, time out real quick. 1, because you might want to show them something, but 2, because I get passionate about this stuff, and I sometimes forget what I know. So you might have to like tell me to do a quick timeout, because I'm just going to I'm going to go in unless you stop me. No, so as far as profile optimization goes, there's really like 4 key areas that people pay the most attention to. And one of them is obviously the banner. So going from like top to bottom is the banner. Other one is a profile picture, and then your headline. This is the thing below your name, and then the About Me section, which is going to be on another screen. The main components you guys want to pay attention to on my profile and some of my clients' profiles is that it's not what a lot of other LinkedIn experts are going to be teaching people. If you Google LinkedIn 101, what it would teach you. My clients are breaking the rules a lot of times. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want to find ways to stand out. We want to be a purple cow, to use a book reference, right? So we want to create as many purple cows as possible within our client list, because everyone else on LinkedIn is doing the typical headshot thing with tilt your head to the side and that you took at a company event or something like that. Usually people's banners are like their company logo with or their cityscape of whatever city they're living in, or they just don't have one. A lot of people just have very basic robotic profiles, and I want a profile that's more lively. So there's two things that you guys will notice with every piece of advice I give for each of these things. You want to try to nail two things. One of them is authority, which is something you should already be familiar with. If you have a book, you've done something to position yourself as an authority in your field. And then the other one is to look just like a real human being. Not enough people pay attention to that nowadays. Looking like a real human being. They look more like, again, bots, like bot vendors that are just trying to pitch and sell something. The more you can make your profile look like you're a real human being, the more responsive people will be to having a conversation with you. So you'll see in this, like, some of the intentionality on my personal profile is like, this is a room full of people. I'm sure if you're writing books, you might be speaking at places. If you have a picture of you speaking in front of an audience, that's a really good picture, because these people are all visually endorsing me. They're basically saying, yeah, this is a good guy, or this guy has something that you might want to learn from. And the other thing I want to point out too is that you'll see my profile picture isn't just like a headshot. It's me engaging in conversation with someone. So any pictures you have of you speaking in front of an audience or anything like that, it shows essentially social proof to the rest of the world. Because the two times that people are going to be checking your profile is, one, when you're sending them a connection request, or two, when you are sending them a message and offering to do something with them. And so they're going to go to your profile, see if they can box you in, see if you look like you're even a real human being. And if they're intrigued and it looks like you're a person that has some level of authority and that you're a real human being, then there's a higher likely chance that they'll actually respond to you. People have a hard time turning down human beings, but they have an easy time rejecting, all the bots that are messaging us every day and stuff, right? So, and I don't want to spend too much time on this section, because at the end of the day, it's going to take action in order for you guys to start generating leads. This is just going to create more efficiency. Or like in Jesse's case, he's going to make our job easier generating leads for him if he has a better looking profile versus if he looks like a goober or something, right?
So I just popped
nice
on the screen, and this was partially a result of our conversation, but
yeah,
instead of my standard picture where I'm in front of a whole bunch of books and there's light coming out of me, I use this sort of friendly, personable picture. And then here's
look like a movie star.
Yeah. But
yeah, and then the banner with the social proof, like that's your tribe. Like you have a tribe of people that are endorsing you in that picture. I love that.
And some of those are our authors as well too. So pop it back over to your screen.
Yeah, and I like words like founder. I like words like you said author. If everyone in this group is an author, that's an amazing thing. Especially if you have any like stats behind your book that Jesse's team helps you get, being a bestseller in whatever category, or X number of books sold, or anything like that. Anything that you really can't fake. Make sure that you put those things right here. The thing that I did, I just want to make sure people understand, like you'll notice that mine is my job title technically, but it doesn't have to be your job title. There's a section in your profile for your job title. This is where you can just find a creative way to explain what you do. Find a creative way to explain what you do. There's a photographer here in Charlotte. His headline says, "I shoot people for a living." And and maybe he doesn't have like the accolades that some of these authors who are listening to this right now have, but he's just leaning on being very funny and doing something that stands out in his headline. If you can flex a little bit, you can absolutely go for it, but definitely having just a headline that is a little bit different from everyone else, because most people it's very job title-ish, and you just want to make sure that there's some creativity there, something that's going to make people want to turn their head. Figure out what makes you relate to your target audience as well, and exploit those things all over your profile. Like if you're a father and you're writing books that fathers in your target market, then put that on your profile. Even if in some cases it's not your target market, it might be helpful to put father in your headline, because again, it makes you look like a real human being. You have a family who loves you, and people will humanize you more if they read that, essentially. Any questions before I go to the next one? Because I'm about to cover the about me section. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next section is the about me section, and I'll just I'll click here. So I actually used my wife's. It's funny. It's still weird calling her my wife. We were like high school sweethearts. So I actually used my wife's summary or about me section for this. And what I want to point out is that like she really has the best about section I've ever seen. I couldn't try to beat it. It's really so good. So she put here her at the very top. Her hook is her rejection letter into nursing school. So right off the bat, very vulnerable, very very much something that the rest of the world will not be willing to do. The next thing she did was she put how she interpreted it. You're not good enough. You're not wanted. You will not be a nurse. And then she talked about here, many people do not know this, but I applied to nursing school 4 times before I was accepted. And so she's giving context to that story. And at the very end, she puts a prayer that she prayed every single day during those times of confusion, and how that bridges back to why she loves being a nurse now. And you guys are authors. That's why it's so fun talking to you guys right now. Like, as I'm like saying a lot of this stuff that I usually say to like thousands of people, I know that it should be resonating with a lot of you guys, so it makes me excited. But
yeah, this is storycraft. This is wordsmithing. Yes. This is a way for you to write sort of in character, the same way that people know you through your book and that you communicate, without giving them like a bullet point description of your accomplishments.
Everyone else does that, man, and no one cares. Like, I used to have a profile that said something like, and I could have done a better job of using my story to connect you guys to how I developed this process, right? Like, all those things obviously makes people remember everything way more, and it keeps them on the edge of their seat and makes them care so much more. And so when I updated my profile, like I used to have James Patrick Coleman as a seasoned professional with experience in this and this and this with this accomplishment, and seriously, it didn't create any reaction from anybody. Now I have an about section that is much more vulnerable about like who I am and why I feel like I'm on earth and my purpose and all that stuff. And I get very vulnerable in some areas and say things that most people just wouldn't be comfortable to say on their LinkedIn profile. And definitely most people would advise that you would not put on your profile. And I just said, screw it. Like, I'm going to do something that stands out from everyone else and put that stuff right there. And by the way, she was a nursing student at the time when she wrote this. And she's had C-level executives at different hospitals asked to have meetings with her so that she would work at their hospital. So that just doesn't happen, especially from LinkedIn. Like, nurses aren't hustling on LinkedIn like this. So this is where you actually get people to care about who you are. Like the banner, the profile picture, the headline, that is a hook to hopefully get them to read this section. And if they read this section, this is where they are going to connect with you. So put in your story that's going to get them to connect with you. I recommend it something that is, pick a significant life event, give context in the body, and then at the very end of that, just bridge that back to why it is that you do what you do now and get people to care. So yeah, this is a perfect audience to teach this kind of stuff. Now, the next area is actually going to be targeting. So what I realized, guys, is I optimized my profile. I made my profile much better. And I started attracting attention from all over the place. And that was because the people I was connected to came from all over the place. I was just connecting at the time with as many people as possible. I thought that it was more of a quantity over a quality thing. And the way that led me in the wrong path is I started getting meetings with a lot of people. And this would frustrate a lot of people on the phone that are listening to this. I started getting meetings with people that just were not at all in my target market. And I couldn't do anything with it. I was wasting their time. They were wasting my time. And so I started becoming very obsessed with this targeting process. And fortunately, LinkedIn makes it, this is actually the thing that makes LinkedIn better than all other social media platforms, because like LinkedIn's average user, they makes about $80,000 a year. And Facebook's is more around like $40,000. But even then, if you could use LinkedIn's filters on Facebook, it wouldn't matter. What's so beautiful about LinkedIn, guys, if you wanted to, you could literally make sure that every person you're talking to is the CEO, see job title over here, at a company with no less than 1,000, 5,000, or even 10,000 plus employees. And then you could pick a certain industry that they're inside of. So guys, LinkedIn is the place you want to go to if you really want to sell something that's a high ticket. I tell all of my clients, I tell Jesse, if you have something that, like, what's the most expensive thing you sell, and use Leadball or use LinkedIn to sell that thing, because at the end of the day, like, LinkedIn is the best place to sell that in the world. So
yeah, and just to like sort of share a little of my experience as we're going through this, and kind of like not fast forward, but kind of preview like where this is all going, is
yeah,
like here's back in my, and here's in my inbox, and I'm literally looking at this right now, and I'm like, holy crap, because here's today, right? Here's this is today, this is live, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's over 10 people. Many of these are inbound message requests, and you'll see how Jimmy sets it up so that people reach out to you, you know, and so forth. But the whole point is, like, even for us, like targeting, it's super easy. If somebody has author in their profile, or if they've already written at least one book, then it's like low hanging fruit to reach out and ask if they're working on a second one, right, for publishing. But even for Publishizer, which is actually what we're using this for the crowdfunding platform we have for books and authors, we're looking for business owners, we're looking for doctors, we're looking for people that are legitimately experts and authorities. And these criteria make it so that everybody fits within those sort of these metrics that you've got on the screen here.
Yeah, and that's why, guys, like, you saw my client list. It's so diverse. People are like, oh, have you worked with this before? Have you worked with this before? And it's like, honestly, it doesn't matter. As long as I can find them based off of like someone's like job title or something like that, like I can fill the pipeline. And you can too, like using LinkedIn, you can fill the pipeline as long as you can find the market you're looking for based off of maybe their job title or something like that. I was talking to the co-working place I was working at today. The power is out, so I was just catching up with the lady who runs it. And she needs to fill up the place. Obviously, they're really worried with everything that's going on with COVID and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, who are the job titles at these companies who make the decisions for renting office space at your location? And she said, oh, well, there's a facilities manager, there's this, there's that, there's this. And we built a list of a bunch of job titles inside of Charlotte, which is where their co-working space is. And there was like hundreds and then thousands of results showing up of all qualified prospects. So, and you can use the keyword here as well. Like, one of the things that we did was in the medical space, we found out that the practices that had the most volume, and we used to sell labs and stuff, the practices that had the most volume had a practice manager who had a certain accreditation. It was called Certified Medical Practice Expert. And so we would search CMPE in the keywords, and the only people's profiles who showed up were the most qualified profiles. LinkedIn just makes it a lot of fun to search these people. Even if you wanted to, all of your people in your target market might be huddled in a certain group. So I have clients that market to e-commerce companies. And so we say, okay, well, find groups, find e-commerce groups. e-commerce business owner groups, or go to job title and find a company that has a job title that says head of e-commerce. Like, you can have so much fun with this stuff. So this is the main part. I can breeze over this, because at this point, what I would just recommend you do if you end up doing it on your own is connect with about 30 people a day that show up from this target list. But just be very, very specific. And if you need to start micro specific, and then you run through all those people, and then you become a little bit less specific, and so on and so forth, that's the best way to do it. As a matter of fact, that's the way the biggest companies in the world do it. Amazon and Apple. Amazon selling books online, Apple just selling to people who wanted to edit videos and stuff like that. And then they eventually, everyone in the world is their target market, right? So I would recommend you guys take the same approach in your targeting.
And Jimmy, while you were talking, I just pulled up one or two other things that I want to share.
Okay.
So just to give you guys some context, right? Like right now, we're just getting ready to do this new book contest on Publishizer, and it's meditate versus medicate. So we've got two different places where you can pitch, but the important thing here is for health reporters, journalists, medical experts, and also for health practitioners, coaches, and yoga instructors.
That's cool.
And you can see here, this is a book contest, and we do these every other month. But now, once we got clear, okay, here's the contest, and now we're like, okay, let's start getting some great applications. Then we basically worked with Jimmy and his team and me and our team, and we came up with these criteria. So these are literally the criteria that Jimmy was just talking about that we're targeting, that results in, and we're getting to that part really soon, 10 plus inbound messages a day coming into my account from people that have already had actually multiple touch points from me and through my account before they're reaching out. So this just gives you a concrete example of, okay, in this case, we know we're doing a book contest every other month. So we spend 1 month targeting, talking to people, helping them create their campaigns, launching, and now the contest starts. And then we just dream up, okay, what do we want our next contest to be? Let's fix the targeting, and then let's start gathering a new group of people. So just to illustrate some of the ways that we're actually using this as Jimmy's teaching you the process.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that was key, obviously, too. And this is key for everything that makes us different, is the way that we're reaching out to people in someone's target market is in a way that protects your authority. We just talked about having a profile that looks like you have authority. If you're an author, you probably care about being an authority to some level and protecting your brand and just the brand quality and how the perception from everyone else in the world looks, and especially people in your target market. There's a lot of tools out there you can use that will just help you target people and then spam them to death, right? They'll just as soon as you can set it so that 47 minutes after connecting with them, you send them a spammy message. And if they don't reply, then 2 days later, they can send another spammy message and then send another one 3 days after that. It's the most annoying thing. And sure, it's going to get results, but for 5 or 10% of the people you were sending the messages to, and the other 90% are just gonna not like you. I want you guys to be able to show your face to the people that you're marketing to if you ever met them in person, right? And not avoid them if you see them at a conference or something. So that's really important part of this process. And one of the key parts of that, guys, is phase 3, and that's just creating familiarity. So I apologize for this being so simple, but it really is extremely simple. But all you need to do is start creating familiarity with the people that you're targeting. And I'm sure you guys have seen this on your social media, either on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever other platforms that you're just hanging out on. There's people that you guys have had this weird online relationship where you've seen their kids' baby pictures, and you've liked each other's posts, comment on things and whatever. And they seem like a cool, neat person, kind of intriguing, but you guys haven't actually hopped on the phone yet or met in person. And that's weird that it stayed, that relationship, it just kind of stays in that zone. That's like a thing that the world is not used to quite yet. And so we want to create a situation where this person is so used to seeing your face that when you reach out to them, it feels warmer than just doing a cold outreach and them seeing your name and face for the very first time once you're in their inbox. And there's a very simple list of things you can do to make that happen. So one of those things is just by liking their posts. So obviously, like, my team does all this stuff for Jesse, but if you wanted to, what you could do is you could just go to your people in your target market, and you could go to their profile and see their post history and start liking their posts. You could start commenting on their posts. Say, hey, great post. Thanks for sharing this. This is really good stuff. Keep up the good work, whatever, right? And just get them familiar with seeing your name and your face. What's cool about LinkedIn, guys, is just by viewing their profile, you'll show up in their notifications, which that's my favorite place to show up. Most people who are like doing digital marketing, Facebook and stuff, what they're competing for is to show up in the timeline. Now, the problem with LinkedIn is people aren't addicted to LinkedIn nearly as much as they're addicted to something like Facebook. And so the LinkedIn's timeline isn't like the most ideal place to show up. The best place to show up is someone's notifications. The average LinkedIn user is not scrolling on LinkedIn all day long, but what they are going to do is they're going to hop on there a few times a week, check their notifications, and then hop off. So you want to show up in their notifications. So just by viewing their profile, you can wish someone a happy birthday or congrats on a work anniversary or whatever. And the other thing you could do is you can endorse them for skills. And this is something that's unique to LinkedIn, but if you go to any profile, you'll see that they have a section where it says skills and endorsements. And these people put things that they want to be endorsed for on their profile. And you can just come over here and click the plus sign. And what happens when you click that plus sign is you show up in the notifications. It has your picture. Then it has your name. It says Jimmy Coleman just endorsed you for selling, sales process, and business development. And then it has a call to action button that says say thanks. And you can click that button. If you click that button, the message is already typed out. It says thanks for endorsing me for leadership and or selling or sales process. And then you just click the send button. So think about this, guys. If my team for Jesse, what we're doing is about 50 times a day, we're going to people that Jesse is targeting, and we are just doing this one thing, endorsing 50 people a day. And 50 times a day, the people that Jesse highly targeted are 2 clicks away from sending Jesse a message saying, thanks for endorsing me for whatever. And at that point, all we have to do is reply back to that person and say, whatever Jesse says, right? But essentially make them an offer. But now they're the ones that sent you the message first. And now it's just rude if you don't reach back out to them. So that's the one I really like doing, because once I learned this trick, guys, I realized wow, I'm targeting really people I can sell really expensive stuff to. And 50 times a day, they're 2 clicks away from starting a conversation. I would wake up every day with messages in my inbox from new people that I've been previous to that, I was banging my head up against the wall to figure out what's the best way for me to reach out to this person. And there they are sending me a message. So these are all the things that obviously my team, again, does for Jesse, but you guys can go and do this stuff too for people in your target market, just to create familiarity.
Yeah. So just to recap that from my perspective, and so you guys, hear it from me too, whether I'm doing it through my account or Jimmy and his team are doing it through my account, the effect is still the same. And whether you do it or somebody else does it, same idea. But once your profile is set up and then you're showing up in people's notification, you like them, you endorse them for a skill, maybe you comment on a post, you've now separated yourself from 95% of, like Jimmy said, there's just spam and crap on LinkedIn. That's why a lot of people don't really use it beyond checking things that benefit them professionally, like notifications. But then, yeah, exactly. It's those multiple touch points. And I think Jimmy's going to go into that here, where instead of just send connection request, send copy paste message, everybody knows that stuff's just junk. But if you endorse them, comment, and then they reach out with a message after looking at my profile and they say, oh, wow, in my case, the founder of a publishing company is just endorsed me. Or, in your case, the best-selling author of a book on fill in the blank for your topic, just endorsed you. That's what actually gets someone's attention. And I think it's integral to this strategy. So yeah, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much you guys are going to care about this part. This is where we really like nerd out. This is kind of the behind the scenes. So like Jesse gets one of these every week. We call it the Diamond Report, but this is just how you can organize it if you want. But once someone accepts a connection request, we put them at bat. And then when we, let's say, endorse them for a skill or wish them happy birthday or comment on one of their posts or something like that, we take them to first base. When we engage with them again, it could be any one of those things again, endorsing, comment, like, post, whatever. We put them at second base. And then we come here and we engage in them again and put them on third base. Once we put them on third base, that's really like phase 4. But I want to pause there real quick just to let you guys know, like, that's where a lot of the strategy comes in. And this is why a lot of people just hire us to do it, is because like most people that I talk to about this system, they say, Jimmy, I know this works because like I'm already doing it, but I'm not being nearly as like systematic and organized with like knowing who's warmed up and like the timing of everything. So that's where I think a lot of this value comes in. But phase 4 is something I call stand outreach. So there's outreach, and then there's outreach that stands out. I bought the domain. I was shocked it wasn't taken, Stand Outreach, without the dash. But so stand outreach is essentially doing something when you stand out that's going to stand out from everyone else who is trying to ping that person. What is something you do that's going to stand out from everyone else? And there's a feature on LinkedIn that's sending an audio message that a lot of you guys are probably already aware of. You guys might use Voxer, you might use Facebook Messenger where you do that. And the place that's worse at this is you trying to text people using that. It's really bad. But this feature is something you can use on LinkedIn as well. And most people just don't realize this. And it helps you stand out a lot. Most of the time when we're sending this out to people for Jesse, it's the first time they've ever received a voice message on LinkedIn. So you can guarantee like they're going to check it out. They're going to listen to it, which is really cool. And the other cool part about it is that it feels very personalized. Like it feels like Jesse actually took time out of his day to send this to them. And again, remember I told you guys about people have a hard time turning down human beings. It's bots that we have an easy time saying no to, right? So whenever it feels like it's coming from a bot or like you have a robot sending out hundreds of messages, I don't feel bad ignoring that person at all. But if someone sent me a voice message, yeah, I'm gonna like feel obligated to respond to that just out of the kindness of my heart and my ability to sleep well at night, right? And so what I say here is like everyone else is sending out these spammy message sequences, and what's cool about them is that they're really scalable, but they're probably the easiest way to get everyone to hate you. And then the other part about it too is the very personalized outreach. You could send something that's like, hey, I read this quote on your profile about that Theodore Roosevelt said, and I thought it was really cool and whatever. Like you could do that personalized stuff, but you can't multiply yourself that way, right? Like you're going to have to be the one doing that like personalization yourself. It's just not scalable. And so obviously what people like Jesse are doing is we're doing the voice recording, and you could do a voice recording too without us. But what we do for Jesse is we just take one audio message from Jesse and we send it to his qualified prospects that are on third base. And that way it's both scalable and personalized.
So I'm gonna show him, Jimmy, because
yeah, that's cool.
Kind of the secret sauce, as we're getting to this part. This is where it becomes just a really unique approach. So check this out. You guys can see my screen now. So here's John Thompson, Global Head, Advanced Analytics and Artificial Intelligence, Chief Analytics Officer, author and speaker. It sounds like an authoritative thing, right? Or a qualified person. This isn't some random Joe off the street. So at this point, we had already touched 2 to 3 times, accepted a connection request. So now we're connected, and then this was sent.
Hey, I know we've been going back and forth here. Just wanted to ask if you've been working on a book or thinking about writing and publishing a book. Would love to connect on that. There's probably some ways that we could really support you in that process.
And look, he sends back ? But then look what happens next. Do you have a question on my auto message? I see you published a book in 2017. Wondering if you're working on your next idea. Would be great to chat and see if there's a way we could support. Ah, sorry, didn't listen to your message. There's been an uptick in phishing attempts. But then he gets to it. Yes, I did write a book in 2017. I'm at the later stages of writing the next book. What kind of support are you offering? And I think we can stop there, but that's literally this scalable approach using a voice message I recorded once. It took me 14 seconds and then gave it to Jimmy and his team. And then after those 3 or 4 touches, or if they reach out directly, then they receive this personalized audio. And even if then they still think it's spammy and the guy just puts a question mark, at that point, I actually replied. And now I'm in conversation with a fairly accomplished person talking about his next book. So that's just an illustration. Again, this is all for your benefit, but I want to show you what we're actually doing as well as the strategy that Jimmy's so expertly sharing here.
Yeah. What I love about this too, guys, is any marketer knows that the numbers game, it works. Like it's going to get you the result that you're hoping to get as far as like hitting your numbers goal. The downside of it, again, as you can see on the left side of the screen, is that like it's just you're going to burn through a lot of your prospects. And what's cool is that like none of these people can really assume that Jesse is like spamming them. It's protecting Jesse's reputation. He might be like something that I used to learn when I used to do a lot of sales calls is every call can be successful because the purpose of the call is to find out whether you can do business with each other. And you might find out from that call that, hey, no, right now you cannot do business with each other. Or you might find out that, yes, you absolutely can. And with this approach, it is the best way for you to find out whether you can do the business with these people that you're connected to on LinkedIn without like coming across as a spammer. So that's what I really like about this whole process and everything.
I just personally like that one because he is skeptical and he's even saying there's like all these phishing is like spam. There's all these attempts and he still broke through and we're now having a real connection in an automated way. So yeah, I just wanted to share that one, but back to you, bud.
Yeah, no, that's really the bulk of it. People are sometimes disappointed. I've done podcasts and stuff like teaching people this process and I can tell sometimes the person that's interviewing me is like, that's it. Like, but the fact is, guys, this process is what has led to tens of millions of dollars being run through the system, building huge companies and stuff. But prior to all this, I didn't tell enough of my story, but I was with a startup company and this created, the year I left, it was easily 8 figures in revenue for that company. And then there are so many other companies that this has really helped a lot, obviously, too. So it's as simple as making sure that you have a profile that stands out from everyone else, making sure that you're extremely intentional with who you're targeting. The third component is just creating familiarity with people in your target market. That's a big piece that a lot of people forget about and just don't do. And then the fourth part is when doing an outreach that stands out to those people, doing something that's a little bit different. Like another thing you could do is you could film a video if you really wanted to. One of the things that we're going to start doing for lead ballers at some point is we're going to be offering for them, for the people that don't reply, that Jesse would send them a video and say, hey, I know you're getting tons of messages on LinkedIn. I want to let you know, like, hey, this is really me. Like, I'm Jesse Krieger. This is what we do. And I'm very interested in finding out whether we can turn this random LinkedIn connection into a way for us to actually help each other, something like that, right? And if they don't reply to that, one of the things we're looking at doing is having my team send a handwritten letter from Jesse that goes to their address, that like their company's address, addressed to them, just offering to have a conversation with them. So we're going to constantly be doing these things that stand outreach, where we're going to warm them up. We're going to stand out, be intentional about who we're talking to, warm them up, and then do some level of outreach that stands out from what everyone else in the world is doing and maintains your positioning as an authority while also generating tons of leads.
Oh, I love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Exciting. Yeah.
Sharing and walking through. And yeah, no, we didn't talk about it in this video. We'll mention it at the end, but you also see it in the email and the other places that I share this with you in terms of our authors and our audience. but yeah, I mean, Jimmy, he showed you the companies that they're working with. And I know just some of the other clients, like the companies like ours that are taking advantage of his service are, some of the leading authorities in their field. So I just want to commend you, Jimmy, on putting together an amazing package and an offer. I remember talking with you about this before it was even created. And I remember right when you announced it, I was like, oh, I'm in. So
yeah, it is a funny story actually. So yeah, Jesse and I are in a mastermind together, and I'm like the LinkedIn guy in that mastermind, and I'm just teaching people, and getting paid to speak at places, selling courses, all those things. And Jesse asked the question, and he's asking me like what's involved in the course and everything, and if I could like teach as assistant and all that stuff. And he's like, and then if we're ready to implement it, you have a team that can implement it too, right? And I was like, no, I don't. And that was what's so cool, guys, is we're really blessed. Like all this COVID-19 stuff is happening, but like my team is growing right now. We're about to grow into a larger office space. I just hired a guy who's the chief experience officer to make sure that every person that we're onboarding is just having an amazing experience, both being successful and also just getting a cool t-shirt and stuff, whatever, all that stuff, building the tribe. I got Tina, who's my executive assistant, and she's getting paid well and all that. We just hired a guy who actually worked directly with Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels to help scale that company. And he is the same guy that's going to be helping us scale Lead Baller. So we're freaking pumped about that. And then we got a team of like 5 VAs now as well. So, and that's my team's telling me we need more people. So we're really blessed to see where this has gone. But yeah, Jesse was a huge inspiration to that. So this is full circle, man. Really cool.
Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun part of this game is seeing all the new ideas and which ones take off. And, really, I think we're going to start to wrap it up here, but this isn't a pitch or anything. Although if you like what you see, and if you're sort of like me where you're like, I get it, it's really smart, and I'm not going to implement it myself, then we've worked out something with Jimmy and his team to give, a special rate and support. If you want to start generating leads like this for your book, your business, we can get into all that. But even if you don't, even if you just put the things that you learned here today into practice, you'll start connecting with so many new people and have that sort of reversal that happens where now there's more incoming interest to you and what you're doing than there is like you pushing or trying to, go out and find these new people and get them to pay attention. It's really the genius of what they've put together here. So thanks so much again, Jimmy. Really appreciate you coming on and dropping knowledge on everybody. And if you got any parting words, go ahead, and then we'll wrap this up.
No, man, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited for the people in your community. I know that you're a fighter, and you'll do whatever it takes to make your clients win. So big props to everyone that's watching.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah.